Did I say 10? I meant 11:13. Sorry, after I got done taking notes on this damn law, I decided to just lay down for a little bit. Just lay down for a rest. I was like, as soon as my Hogan's Heroes season 1 episodes, like 1 through, not 1 to something, but it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's like 6 episodes on the DVD. As soon as that's up, it'll be 10 o'clock. I'll be ready to do this. Oh man, I fell asleep and I had some crazy dreams. Kind of cool, but at the same time, really weird. Really weird. All right. 6003 is where we're going. Blah 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 blah. 003. Here we go. Support for restaurants. No. Woke up and saw that there was food from Fadi's. Delicious. I'm done here. I'm gonna go get some lentil soup. Oh damn, the hummus is out. Well, I'll get some hummus and pita bread too. I don't have any headphones in. I'm not sure if that's making much of a difference, considering that like this doesn't make any sound. It's not like I'm playing League of Legends or anything like that. Anyway, so this is very interesting. 6003 establishes the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. Excuse me. $25 billion. Dun, dun, dun. Alright. Now what's interesting about this one is we go down to this is A, this little a. Go down to little b. Here's little b. Here's the fun, right? Because little a was just definitions. Little b, big B. Alright. Yeah. Okay, so in general, out of the 25 billion, 5 billion shall be available to entities with gross receipts of not more than 500,000. So you make less than 500,000 in your restaurant, 5 billion of that money's for you. If you make more, wait, did I say 500,000? Yeah, if you make more than 500,000 in your restaurant, that 20 billion is to be available for the administrator to award grants in an equitable manner to entities of different sizes based on annual gross receipts. I'm like, oh, it's going to be equitable, but I mean, like, literally, you just kind of giving the administrator, like, and a lot of this, that's what this is. They give the secretary or the administrator the, oh, damn, what's the word? Not diligence, the discretion. They just, like, it's up to the secretary's discretion, to the administrator's discretion. I mean, like, honestly, I feel like, you know, they're going to be handing them out to their buddies for the most part. You know, best of discretion. Yeah, shut up, bitch. Anyway, where we at? Little C3A. Little C3A. Priority in awarding grants. I found this to be interesting. In general, during the initial 21-day period in which the administrator awards grants under this subsection, the administrator shall prioritize awarding grants to eligible entities that are small business concerns, owned, controlled, Owned, controlled. There's no comma there. That's not what I found interesting. But it's owned and controlled by women. I have to. Owned, controlled by women. Of the Small Business Act. Small business concerns owned and controlled by veterans. So they put a fucking and in there. Typo. Just left out the and there, guys. Makes me think that wasn't necessarily typed in there. Somebody said, "Can I came along?" Like, controlled by women. Women. All right. So they're gonna discriminate on the basis of sex now. Don't think it's constitutional, but whatever. Owned and controlled by women. Owned and controlled by veterans. Which veterans, honestly, I kind of get, but what is that like? Discriminating on the basis of military service. Although it is the federal government giving out money, so I don't necessarily care too much. I think veterans, yeah, they need their shit. But then like by women, I mean it's kind of like okay, holy shit, you people. We're socially and economically disadvantaged small business concerns. Now they typically define socially and economically disadvantaged. But in terms of restaurant, that means your restaurant wasn't a bad location to begin with. That's like that Church's Chicken that's in that one small town where you're driving through Texas and you know that like if you go in there, it's just going to be disgusting. Because I've gone into one of those before. It was so fucking gross. Anyway, those businesses probably should just go under. It'd probably be best for the entire country and probably best for the world, honestly. Got to think about the environment and everyone's stomach. Like, holy shit. Anyway, what else was of interest in this section? Is that still little c? 4 big A, I? 4. Oh, right. The aggregate maximum amount. Excuse me. The aggregate amount of grants made to an entity and any affiliated businesses of the entity. Affiliated businesses of the entity? I mean, like, I don't know if they're talking about chain restaurants there, or they're talking about, like, a restaurant, like a large restaurant chain, where they also have kind of like the supply business, like a subsidiary, of a parent company that like provides like napkins and other utensils and stuff like that, plates, stuff like that. Anyway, shall not exceed 10 million and shall be limited to 5 million per physical location of the entity. 5 million per physical location, right? Now, Chick-fil-A is not going to really be taking too much of this. But what's one of those really, really shitty... Okay, so Taco Bell, right? Taco Bell is going to be like, well, 5 million per physical location, right? Like, I feel like that's all your 25 billion right there. Just gone with just Taco Bell in mind. Anyway. Moving on to the next interesting item. 5, just use of funds, right? Payroll costs. Payments of principal or interest on any mortgage. Rent payments, utilities, maintenance expenses, including construction to accommodate outdoor seating. And walls, floors, deck surfaces, furniture, fixtures, and equipment. Supplies, including protective equipment and cleaning materials. Like, what are they fucking... In terms of things that, like, deal with actually, like, saving, like, rescuing the American people from the policies that these people implemented. It seems like they're really trying to get an idea of how much it costs to basically subsidize every business in the country, which I think it's amazing they think they can even do that. Just like, well, we're going to do that first, and then when we're like running a huge deficit, we'll be like, well, we gotta raise taxes. Yeah, well, you've got so many rules in the rule books that allow the big guys to get away with paying anything. So I don't know, like, you're just gonna end up taxing the poor people who can't even afford to set up a non-profit organization and move all their money into it in order to avoid being taxed on any of that income. You know what I mean? Like, holy shit. Anyway, food and beverage expenses within the scope of the normal business practice. I'm sure you guys, I'm sure it is, because they really want to get an idea of how much will it cost us to like make sure that like, basically just keep every business alive. It's just like, like, I'd like to see you keep a dead tree from dying or a dying tree from dying, right? Now, if it's got worms eating through it, then you just kind of cut the branches where the worms are. But if the worms have made it throughout the entire trunk and shit, then that tree's basically fucked. It's got disease and something like that. But like some trees just die of old age. Actually, a lot of trees just kind of die of old age. You can't, keep the tree. You can't force the tree to live. Everything's got to die at some point. That's just what this is, And I mean, like, I realize it's a pandemic pandemic. It's the reaction to the pandemic, rather, that brought this about. And people were like, okay, well, yeah, we'll close down. We wouldn't want to kill anybody by being open, but it's not really their fault, right? If you tried to blame car dealerships for all the car accidents in the world, that'd be one fucked up planet, yeah, if you ask me. Or if you want to blame all the KFCs for all the heart attacks, like, fuck y'all, like, fuck off, right? People gotta make their own decisions. Nobody's forcing anybody to go out to a restaurant. Nobody's forcing. But you might say, oh, well, people didn't want to go out to the restaurant, so the business closed because they weren't getting any customers. I bet you they would have gotten some people. Right? Eventually, right? If they just stayed open a little longer, people would be like, yeah, we want to come back. And I definitely saw on the news back when all this kind of started, businesses that were like, we're staying open. Like, I kind of need the money. And people coming in like, well, sorry, we got to take you to jail or give you a ticket. Well, we gotta do all this. Like, call the police. Like, whoever's calling the police on those people, fuck you. Like, go fuck yourself. You're not part of a healthy society. If you really want to act like that, you want to police people for the state, then, why don't you go to North Korea? Sure, they'd love to have the propaganda of having you defect, even if you're absolutely useless. Anyway. Yeah. You don't see people trying to bust into North Korea, do you? Only people trying to escape. Anyway, operational expenses, paid sick leave, any other expenses that the administrator determines to be essential to maintaining the entity. Strip clubs. They got a buffet, man. They can be considered a restaurant. Fucking Hooters, dude. Like, we need boob jobs. We need boob jobs. Anyway, 6. Returning funds. If an entity that receives a grant under this section fails to use all grant funds or permanently ceases operations, the entity shall return to the Treasury any funds that the entity did not use for the allowable expenses under paragraph. Yeah, that's gonna happen. Oh my goodness. Like, you're giving people too much credit, I mean, like, it'd be hard pressed to find a priest or a nun that actually does that. You know what I mean? Anyway, next one is 7B of this area. 7B, that's 7A. Anti-evasion. No company in which a private fund holds an ownership interest that has directly or indirectly received amounts under this section may pay any distributions, dividends, consulting fees, advisory fees, interest payments, or any other fees, expenses, or charges in excess of 10% of the net operating profits of the company, operating profits for the calendar year, December 31st, 2021. Oh, you can't pay dividends. You see, at first I was like, okay, they're making sure they can't pay dividends or consulting fees or advisory fees or interest payments or any other fees or expenses in excess of 10% of the net operating profits of the company. Net operating profits. Company operating profits. See, these are people who have no idea what business is, how to run a business, right? Because is there any such thing as operating profits? I get what they're trying to say here. At least I think I get what they're trying to say here. That 10% of the net profits of the company, right? You can't in excess of 10% of the net profits, right? In other words, like, well, net profits, like it's basically like just profits. You could just say profits, right? And there's net costs. I understand net's got that word. It's got a definition, kind of associated with companies and stuff like that and doing business. But is there any such thing as operating profits? I feel like there's operating costs. Is there any operating profits? Like, like that's the whole point of a business, is to make profit, right? Is there any such thing? You know what? Maybe I'm the idiot. Maybe I'm the idiot. Let me just Google operating profits. Google doesn't. Oh, okay. No, it's got operating profits are defined as Investopedia. Operating profit is an actual thing. Fuck me, I look like an idiot, I guess. Refers to an accounting metric measuring the profits a company generates from its core business functions, where the deduction of interest and taxes is excluded. So, after they've paid their taxes, I guess, okay, so they make profit, right? And then after they pay their taxes and they've paid interest on whatever the hell they're supposed to pay interest on, that's their operating profit. I mean, like, if they just invest all that money back into their company, I'm pretty sure they can get away with not paying any taxes. So, okay. Anyway, I found that section interesting. I didn't really pick up on the whole net operating profits thing. It's a proper accounting metric, I suppose. After they've paid taxes. Anyway. 6004. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Net operating profits. Is that even a thing? Oh, it turns out it's a thing. But it doesn't make sense to me. Not that the phrase itself doesn't make sense. It's just that provision just didn't make sense to me. Whatever. We're here to learn, right? 6004. 100 million to navigate private nonprofits and government entities to assistance programs and resources made available due to COVID-19. And for this, it's just 75 million to the administrators. Wait, no. That's 75 million to the administration costs for administration expenses, you see. Because it costs $75 million for the government to spend $100 million in order to help people get the assistance programs and resources that have been made available by the federal government for COVID-19. Yeah, that's all I got for you guys there. There's nothing interesting. Nothing else that's interesting. 6005. 1,250,000,000 carry out Section 324 of Economic Aid to Hard-Hit Businesses, Nonprofits, Venues Act. Excuse me. 006. To the administrators, 840 million for administrative expenses to respond to COVID-19, or, well, that's it. And okay, hold on. Or domestically or internationally, including administrative expenses related to paragraphs 36 and 37 of Section 7 small a of the Small Business Act, Section 324 of the Economic Aid to Hard-Hit Small Businesses, Nonprofits, and Venues Act of this title, Section 6002 of this title, and Section 6003 of this title. So kind of those things that we just went through. Also, 6002 was on the last stream. The last, big stream. That was the one that was $15 billion to pay the government what the government promised to small businesses, nonprofits, and the Venues Act. Anyway, 6005. Well, I mean, if you need to go in detail here, it's like 460 million to carry out the loan program, and then 25 million for the Inspector General. All right, it's like, oh, they pretended like this was for COVID-19. It's just like, you guys suck. I hate you guys. I hate you guys so much. 7001 through 7002. Yeah, I'm gonna just put these things together. All right, because they're kind of the same thing, or at least 7002 is kind of like, funds appropriated under this section, under section 7001, may be used to carry out subsection A of this 7002. So, I mean, okay. Well, that's 50 billion to pay 100% of funeral expenses to individuals and households for disaster-related death. So they're gonna reimburse everybody whose family member died or whose loved one died due to COVID-19. Go and get your money. Heck. And just so anybody's clear, I'm not telling you to do anything illegal now. All this is out there. You can get it. If you can get it, you can get it. Go get it. Go get it. Don't shy away from not getting it. Take it, invest it, start making some actual money with it. Sell options. You can buy dividends. You can just make sure that you can get a little extra change in your pocket every year from now on. Like these guys. Put that money to work. Anyway. And don't put it in the system. Don't let it circulate around. It'll help kind of stem inflation, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So let's do the government a favor here. You know what I mean? Let's take their money and make sure everything's a little better off in the future. How about that? 7003. Oh, that's 3 billion. I only have 3 million on here. I'm sorry, guys. I wrote down not enough zeros. Anyway, bail out states for bad policies as related to COVID-19. That's what I wrote down. Okay. Because, look at this. This is to the Departments of Commerce for Economic Adjustment Assistance and for necessary expenses for responding to economic injury as a result of coronavirus. I mean, yeah, they have this to prevent, prepare for, and respond to coronavirus, but I mean, like we all know that's just a fucking excuse. That's all just added in there, right? That's just added in there in order to be like, this bill is needed for the coronavirus because we got millions of people who are afraid of coronavirus. Coronavirus. And there's a fucked up part. They say coronavirus here. Only in a few places do they really say like COVID-19, or even like in even fewer places they mention like new variants of COVID-19. Coronavirus is the fucking flu. That's a very broad term for viruses, which means they have no intention of not using these sections in the future, not using this bill in the future. I guarantee you that in the future there's going to be more bills, and they're just going to amend this bill in order to extend, right? It says September 30th, 2024 for this section now, right? But in the future, guaranteed, it's going to be, September 30th, 3030, right? Like, they're going to just extend the dates. Oh, this is amended, and we strike this date, and we've added in this new date. Just pushed it. It's just, they have no intention of not using this beyond next 3 years, right? Next year, next 2 years. This is going to be a long-term thing. It's being signed into law. It's going to be made into law. It's going to be something that they're going to look to in the future, and they're going to use it again and again and again and again. Guaranteed. 100%. 100%. Right. 7004. 1,500,000. Pocket change. A few pennies to them. Conducting maintenance on the Seaway International Bridge. That's a bridge between New York and Ontario. Gotta conduct that maintenance, man. Oh, and to prevent, prepare for, and respond to coronavirus by conducting maintenance and capital infrastructure activities on the Seaway International Bridge. Like, what are you fucking doing? I guess what are they doing? Like maintenance. Like maintenance-wise, they're not adding in like glass panes. People, what are they doing? Well, I'd be interested. Like, how are they responding to coronavirus in that situation? Because I guarantee they're not. How much you want to bet? Like, how much you want to bet? They're just not. Like, no. New. Yeah, okay. I mean, we're all idiots, though. Right? So, 7005. $820,388,160 plus $679,611,840 public transportation project grants. Northeast Corridor appropriation, National Network appropriation. Oh, but to also prepare for, and respond to coronavirus. Yeah, it's coronavirus, guys. Like, coronavirus. We gotta grant projects for public transportation projects. We need more public transportation projects. Hey, don't tell me this is for buying PPE. I've already gone through like 2 or 3 sections of that in previous streams. Like, PPE for everything. PPE for the whole fucking country. I mean, like, I'm surprised they're not trying to buy PPE for the entire world, which they pretty much are. Let's face it. A lot of this money is going to go overseas. A lot of this money is going to end up in other countries. And they're going to say, well, it's to buy PPE. People can be like, yeah, but we don't really give a fuck about COVID-19. So instead of buying PPE, and instead of responding or preventing or preparing for COVID-19, why don't we just get a pool? Yeah, let's just get a pool. You know what I mean? Anyway, section 7006. I hate this shit so much. 30 billion for public transportation projects. Now, if you don't believe me? You don't believe me? That's the section 7006. I'm calling out the sections. You don't believe me? That is for basically just. And I've summarized this down. I've gone through and read this shit, and I've looked up some of this other stuff, so I don't have to spend forever on these things. So I can go ahead and just be like, yo, this is what it is. At least this is what I am 100% sure it is. Public transportation projects. Need those public transportation projects. It'll provide jobs. It'll provide good paying jobs, as opposed to the jobs that they canceled by getting rid of the XL pipeline. But people need jobs. People need jobs, but they need government jobs, right? They don't need infrastructure jobs that have to do with oil. No. They need road jobs and bus jobs and train jobs, railroad jobs. It's just like, who the fuck uses the railroad? I'm sure there's some transportation going along those routes, but anyway. Section 7007. Yeah, that's the fat section one. I'm happy when I'm able to scroll past a whole lot of nonsense. Very nice. Oh. Let me go get some water. I'm gonna get some water. Second. I have water. I wonder where my green cup was. Alright. Section 700, relief for airports is what it says. Okay. But my notes say 8 billion airport bailouts. That's what it says. Yeah, you fucking welcome to fucking dredge through this shit yourself. But that's what I came up with. Airport bailouts. Because I'm not about to spend as much time as I spent going through this in a stream, right? I'm trying to condense this stuff for you guys. And yeah, believe me, they're going to say, oh, it's for COVID-19. Prepare for coronavirus. Prevent coronavirus. But, as we'll see in a later section, they'll appropriate money, like kind of this, that. They'll be like, oh, this is for this broad section. And then within the section, they'll be like, well, this amount is for this, and this amount is for this. And you probably end up with just zero that's actually meant for preventing or responding to coronavirus. As we'll see in a future section. We'll get there. We'll get there. It's there. Right. Section 7101. Definitions. This is literally just a whole section of definitions. Now you may say, oh, that's necessary. Why wouldn't they put it in the sections where it belongs? I'm sorry, I feel like there's just a more effective way of writing a law, right? One that's easier for people to understand, one that's shorter so that it's quicker for people to kind of go through it. And you'll see later on, they've actually just kind of repeated themselves. They actually just kind of copy and pasted sections, and to make this thing longer on purpose. It wasn't on accident. No. They know it's in it. Because they put this shit in it. And they literally just copy and paste it. Or maybe it is on accident. Maybe they're just inept. But it's just like there are more efficient ways of writing a bill. Right? The only reason, in my opinion, why you would want to write such a long, drawn-out bill like this, right? Is so that A, you can sneak things in there, right? B, so that you can kind of group everything you want to pass under one kind of legislation that you are going to tell the American people is super important, and the whole thing needs to pass. If the whole thing doesn't pass and the other side's evil, right, then you want to bunch everything in there, right? You don't want people to really be able to go through it and understand it in a timely manner, right? You want to just be able to cram everything down the throats of people who don't want it in one fell swoop, right? If there's no good reason, no moral reason why you would want to make a complicated bill. This is big. If your bill's so important and your bill's so needed and it's so necessary, you can keep it short. You can keep it fucking short. You can keep it to the point instead of beating around the bush until you get to the very center. It's like, oh, okay, that's what you actually want. Like, you fucking assholes. Anyway, section 7102. $3 billion payroll support program. Payroll support program. As respects to related to honestly, there's nothing in here that says anything about coronavirus. So we just double check that. Yeah, doesn't show up once, not one fucking time, which means they didn't even bother copying and pasting at the end of one of these sentences a thing that says and to prevent, respond to, and prepare for coronavirus. Like, no. But, you know, to be fair, they mentioned the CARES Act. Apparently that's about coronavirus. Or so they say. I haven't gone through it. HR 1, you know, I looked at HR 1 just briefly. That election integrity law. It's just about as long as this one. Fucking assholes. Like, if you can't pass a bill, if you can't make something that's digestible by the American public and as a law and you're trying to pass, then there's something in there. There's something they're trying to hide. There's something they want to just sneak past people. So look, if you vote for these Democrats, just look at this. Just look at what they're doing, please. Please, just look at what they're doing. Like, just please, like, just look at the bill. Look how long the bill is. And you might say, oh, well, it's necessary because there's a lot of money. It's like, okay, I'll buy that. But why repeat themselves like multiple times? And we'll get to that. Right? Why do a whole section that's nothing but definitions? Right? Look, if it's about coronavirus, then what's with all the infrastructure projects? What the fuck? Like, if it's about coronavirus, why they don't mention it in this section here? Anyway, continue on with this BS. I hate this shit. I hate this so much. I hate this. I hate them so much. Just like, oh, well, if we've got a righteous cause, we can murder millions of Muslims. Sounds like something out of the Crusades right there, bitches. Right? Like, Well, they gotta retake Jerusalem. You know, looks like we gotta behead some children. Well, it's just like, fuck you. Like, go fuck yourself. Fucking crazy ass bitch. Anyway, 7201. Amends the Railroad Unemployment Insurance Act. Funny, in my notes I write down, amends Railroad Unemployment Insurance Act is amended. That's just like, fuck, I hate you people. But as you can see here, they're just extending dates by striking March 14th, 2021 and inserting August 29th, 2021. By striking July 1st, 2020 and inserting July 1st, 2020 or July 1st, 2021. That's what they're going to do in the future with this bill. And be like, oh, it amends the American Rescue Plan Act by extending every date in there, by striking every date that says this date, and adding this date. Now, in order to know what the fuck we're talking about, you're going to have to go through the American Rescue Plan Act and find out. Fuck you. Fuck you, bitches. Cunts. Anyway, 7202. Railroad Unemployment Insurance Act is amended. And look, just by striking 185 days, putting in 305 days. By striking 9 consecutive 14-day periods, inserting 31 consecutive 14-day periods. Just expand our power a little bit more. Just give us a little more time on the swing, mommy and daddy. Fuck off, kid. Go home. Fucking go home. Time to go to bed. Go to sleep already. Anyway. Water. Section 7203. CARES Act is amended. By striking March 14, 2021 and inserting August 29, 2021. Now you guys will go and look into the fucking CARES Act to see what this section actually does. Fuck you. Anyway, 7204. 27,975,000 to respond to COVID-19. You see. Oh, and for additional hiring and, oh wait, no, for additional hiring, it's 6,800,000, right? Okay, so this is a section where quite literally they say 27 million. Let's say about 28 million. Okay, no, I have to be very specific with my numbers here. 27,975,000, right? To prevent, prepare for, and respond to coronavirus. This is the Railroad Retirement Board, guys. They need $27 million to prevent and prepare for coronavirus because the masks are really, really, really expensive. Being outside costs millions of dollars. Anyway, but what they then do is they say, well, 6,800,000 of that is for additional hiring and overtime bonuses. That is needed to administer the Railroad Unemployment Insurance Act. Right? An act that's been in place for some time now. Right? And in addition, well, not really in addition, but out of that 27,975, they need to spend 21,175,000 to supplement existing resources devoted to operations improvements for the information technology investment initiatives of the Railroad Retirement Board, guys. They just need to do it. Now, what's interesting here, honestly, it's like shall be to supplement, not supplant. I feel like that's just put in there so that they can, in the future, make an amendment. It'll just be like striking, supplement, comma, not, and the comma after supplant. And it's like shall be to supplant existing resources devoted to operations. It's just to subsidize, guys. It's just to supplement. It's not supposed to like completely pay for everything, Like, yeah, well, I think you're preparing for it to pay for everything. Anyway, the curious thing here is 21,175,000 plus 6,800,000 is equal to exactly 27,975,000. Right? 21 million plus 6 million. Well, that's 27 million. Right? 100,000 plus 800,000. That's 900,000. 75,000 plus 0,000. Well, that's 75,000. So in other words, as far as I can tell, absolutely zero money is left over to prevent, prepare for, or respond to coronavirus. Everything's for actually additional hiring, right? Not hiring people that they had to lay off because of coronavirus. No. Just additional hiring and the, overtime bonuses needed to administer the Unemployment Insurance Act for the railroads. It's just got to be. And for the information technology investment initiatives of the Railroad Retirement Board, I don't think that's even like an act. It's just like the Railroad Retirement Board's got a technology investment initiative where I guess they invest in tech. It's probably telehealth. That's what they're all investing in now these days. But yeah, zero money for actually responding to COVID-19. Anyway, let's move on because we're just morons over here. And I'm just an idiot. Maybe I'm just an idiot. You want to go in there and tell me, oh no, this is all about coronavirus. Okay, well then I'll listen. I'll hear you out. I'll hear what you have to say. But as far as I can tell right now, there's absolutely zero money in it. There's money coronavirus. No, 8001. 272 million for sections 308, 310, 7101 through 7113, 7701, 7703, Title 8 United States Code. Now that's like, oh, that's Title 38. Yeah, Title 38. That's unemployment benefits. Well, it's public transportation is what it is. And the next one, 8002. 13,482,000,000 for chapters 17, 20, 73 plus 81, Title 38 United States Code. And it mentions that only 4 billion of that is going to go to veterans community care. Oh, that's right. These are veteran benefits. Title 38 or Title 8. Title 8 is public transportation. Title 38 is veteran benefits. $8003. 100 million for supply chain modernization initiative. That's, in order to improve the bureaucratic supply chain to veterans. Which you can, it's one of those things where the more money you throw at it, the worse it gets. Anyway. 8004. 500 million for Title 38 United States Code. That's vet benefits. And then 250 million for extended care facilities for veterans. 8005. 10 million for the Inspector General to be the Inspector General and do his job. 8006. Retraining for the pursuit of education as it relates to veterans. All right. Now, B3. That's little b, big 3. Failure to complete. A veteran who receives training assistance under this section to pursue a program of education and who fails to complete the program of education shall not be eligible to receive additional assistance under this section. I'm sorry, but if you fail, you fail. No second chances for you guys. Yeah, we know you're a vet. Too fucking bad. Okay, assholes. Anyway, little d, big 1. Little d, big 1. Retraining assistance. Oh, it's little d, big 1, ABC. Right? So for each month the veteran pursues the covered program of education, such amount shall be payable directly to the educational institution offering the covered program of education pursued by the veteran. So they're not even giving the money to the veterans to allow them to pick their own places. Like, you pick a place and we'll pay the educational institution. Kind of like federal student loans and shit like that. It doesn't go through the students and it doesn't go in their bank accounts. No, it just goes directly to the educational institution, which I think is kind of part of the problem, in my opinion. Sure, you get like whatever's left over, you get a little bit in your own account if you want it, but like, you have to sign a certain thing and be like, anything that's not spent needs to go in my account, or anything that's not spent goes into paying off the principal. I don't get that kind of a thing. Guaranteed, when I was getting federal student aid, I was like, put that shit in my account. I'm like, I fucking need that. I need that to eat. Fucking assholes. Fucking lunatics. And for this, they've appropriated only $386 million. Tells you how much they care about veterans. Like, how many veterans do you think that's going to put through school? Not that many, right? Because what we're talking, maybe like 20, 30,000 a semester per person. It sure might seem like a lot, but when compare it to some of these other amounts in here, ain't actually going to do anything, right? For instance, we looked up, like they give like millions, like it was like maybe like 60 or 50 million or something like that to the Mariana Islands for grocery assistance, and that money could pay for everyone's groceries for 1 month, just about, on the island. Just 1 month of groceries for everybody. Now, Section 8007, $2 billion to reimburse vets for co-payments related to healthcare. And like, heck, vets probably need it. I know the Veteran Affairs was really kind of screwed up before Trump came along. At least that's how it seemed, right? And I mean, like, you apparently have like tons of homeless vets all over the place. So, you know, if you're homeless, you're definitely gonna have some health problems. But you have plenty of fresh air. Depends. Actually, probably not. You're standing outside and cars driving by all the time, just breathing in exhaust. Section 9001, nothing. It just says this subtitle may be cited as the crisis support for unemployed workers act. And it goes into part 1. So they had to create a section just for the short title. However, in the very next section, there's going with a short title. Like, they're just trying to discourage people. Just make it as long as possible to discourage anyone whatsoever from trying to figure out what we're up to. I mean, you guys, hey, if what you did was so good and so morally correct and all this and so righteous, I thought you wanted people to know. I thought you wanted people to know what greatness you were doing for the country. Why hide it in a giant ass bill like this? Why make it as difficult as possible? Why? You'll see what I get to in a minute. We'll get to some just straight up repetitions, just repetitions of sections, and long sections at that, just to make the thing longer, just to make this little bar on the side as small as fucking possible, without making it too small. Right? Because, let's face it, they're old. They still got to be able to see the damn thing and know where they're at. Now, excuse me. No respect. None whatsoever. Anyway, 9011. CARES Act is amended. Right, that's it. CARES Act is amended. Striking March 14th, 2021, and inserting August 29th, 2021. You know, just pretty soon we're going to be seeing bills that amend the American Rescue Plan Act. Oh, this is great. Yeah. 9012. Social Security Act is amended. 9013. CARES Act is amended. 9014. CARES Act is amended. 9015. Families First Coronavirus Response Act is amended. 9016. CARES Act is amended. 9017. CARES Act is amended. And as you'll notice, like, for these, like, it's just striking March 14th, 2021 and inserting August 29th, 2021. That's literally what these amendments are going to be. That's going to be the next 4 amendments, okay? 9017, oh yeah, CARES Act is amended. 9018, CARES Act is amended. 9021, Social Security Act is amended. 9022, Families First Coronavirus Response Act is amended. 9031, $8 million for administrating. $8 million to the administrators to administrate. I fucking hate these people so much. I fucking hate this. Section 9032, $2 billion to prevent fraud, promote access, and ensure timely payments. Let's just look at section little b2. For system-wide infrastructure investment and development related to such purposes. Infrastructure investment related to these purposes. What kind of fucking infrastructure do you need? I guess they got to upgrade to fiber optics. They got to get that fast internet. Can't be scrolling through Twitter and having shit needing to load. Like, no, you got to be able to get as mad as possible, as fast as possible. Put those emotions to the fucking metal, man. Fucking A. Fuck you, people. Fuck you. Fuck you. Right. But I think it's just funny how they're like $2 billion to prevent fraud. Right? But also, we want to promote access and ensure timely payments. So on one hand, we want to prevent fraud. But on the other hand, we want to make that fraud easier to, like, commit. But we want to prevent fraud, guys. Yeah, well, you literally ended up at a net zero nothing with this section. If you're like, well, on one hand, we want to prevent fraud, but on the other hand, we want to make sure that everybody knows about this. And on the other hand, we want to sure everyone gets their timely money. And so on the other hand, we want to make it kind of easier for the frauds to happen and occur. But we still want to prevent fraud, guys. Like, I don't think you actually want to prevent fraud. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I do not. Anyway. Fucking lunatics are driving me nuts. That's probably why they really closed the insane asylums. The doctors were going insane. Well, we don't have any doctors anymore. They're all a part of the asylum now. Just drop off box of food and water. Close the gates. We'll just drop off food and water every now and again. Probably just drop off meds too while we're at it. Just let them have the place. We'll build another one across the road. Anyway. 9101. Social Security Act is amended. And it provides $150 million to pay for stuff. There's nothing of interest in that, to be perfectly honest. That's, typically when I pass something and I say there's nothing of interest in it, that's because it more or less has actually something to do with coronavirus. Why they gotta bury it towards the bottom after a lot of BS, don't ask me. Don't ask me. 7202. Not 7202. 9202. 9202. Social Security Act is amended. Now this one is of interest because it establishes the Pandemic Emergency Assistance Fund and it puts $1 billion for federal, state, or tribal activities. So what does this fund actually do? This section, according to this section, it establishes a fund and it puts $1 billion in it. And that $1 billion is for federal, state, or tribal activities. What kind of activities? It does not say. I guess you could be like, oh, basic assistance, like short-term benefits, emergency assistance is divided by, but no. This is allotment formula. This is the allotment formula. This is how they formulate who gets what. Right? What is this money actually supposed to do? Like 9202, 9201, section 9201 establishes the Pandemic Emergency Assistance Fund, puts $1 billion in it. That $1 billion is supposed to go to federal, state, or tribal activities. What kind of activities? Just activities. Just activities. Like, what the fuck do you mean? And I'm literally looking, look, by all means, look through this. Tell me I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong on this one. I want to be wrong here. But as far as I can tell, this fund isn't actually for anything. This is supposed to just kind of put $1 billion to the side. And it's supposed to be for state and federal, state, or tribal activities that, what exactly, that do what kind of activities, doesn't say. Doesn't say. As far as I can tell, this $1 billion is going to do nothing. It has no stated purpose. It's just for activities. Like the most vague ass shit I've ever fucking seen in my life. It's like, well, it's a Pandemic Emergency Assistance Fund. Look, as far as I can fucking tell, this doesn't do anything. Now, it may be that I have to go into Section 403 of the Social Security Act in order to find out what this $1 billion is supposed to actually do. And what's very interesting, by reading other sections of this bill, I've actually discovered, and this is actually really weird, but I always kind of thought that the Social Security Act was meant to kind of bring some kind of monetary financial security to the people of the United States, right? To people who kind of get old and stuff like that. I didn't think it was supposed to provide security to the government, right? But turns out I'm wrong. The Social Security Act is mainly to protect the government. It's mainly a net for the government, for them to kind of take money from and draw money from so that they can do things with that money. Like, sure, you and I are paying into it, but don't worry, they've allotted and appropriated a lot of our tax-paying dollars and a lot of this borrowed money to the Social Security Act for these purposes. Don't worry, we won't need to tax you anymore. All we need to do is inflate the prices of everything you buy. Fuck you. Fuck you. $1 billion for what? Nothing, as far as I can tell. Nothing. By all means, tell me I'm wrong. I'd like to be wrong here. But as far as I can tell, it's nothing. Absolutely fucking nothing. Anyway, on to the next one. Yeah, there's a lot of words, but nothing of actual, purposes. Right? Authority to collect and adjust expenditure data. Right? In order to collect data that is expended from funds, like this under this subsection, right? So it's just like, we got these things in here. It's like, no, this money doesn't seem to actually do anything. It doesn't seem to be for any actually stated purpose, right? Expenditure reports. Like, okay, so I'm guessing I'd have to go into the Social Security Act Section 403 in order to find out if this actually does anything. Because as far as I can tell, it's a bunch of just blah, blah, blah words about getting reporting. Oh, we want to know how this money is spent. It's like, well, what is it supposed to be spent on? It's like, nothing. It's, excuse me? Nothing. No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We're just plebes. Plebes, you're not supposed to know how we're fucking just putting money aside, setting it aside for whatever the hell we want to spend it on, and then for a rainy day. Why don't they just call it the Rainy Day Fund? The Rainy Day Pandemic Assistance Fund. How about that? Just call it that. Just call it that, you fucking assholes. Anyway, Section 9301, Social Security Act is amended. $276 million. Payable to carry out programs under Subtitle B. Sections and blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. But it actually tells you what it's supposed to be for. It's to carry out sections of another thing. I didn't get any of that in that previous thing. I didn't get any of that. That's what I've been seeing all through this bill, but that wasn't in that previous section. It's just like, what the fuck is going on? What's the $1 billion for? Well, the fund is called the Pandemic Assistance Fund, Emergency Fund. In other words, it's your rainy day fund to spend on whatever the fuck you want. Like, how much cocaine you gonna buy with it? Like, come on, Nancy, we see your face falling off. Like, come on. Like, you don't have to hide it. Just make the shit legal and you're fine, right? Like, no. Only the elite should be allowed to do cocaine. I'm going off on some bullshit. But hey, what is it? Cocaine's apparently legal in Oregon now. Too bad Oregon's a state I wouldn't want to be caught dead in, because chances are I would be made dead in. Fucking damn state. Fucking would get killed there. Fucking lunatics running around like, just run the place. Poor Oregonians. Oregonians. Oregonites. Whatever. Section 9401. Social Security Act is amended. $200 million for mitigating COVID-19 in skilled nursing facilities. Something that actually has to do with COVID. Where overall do you stand on the bill? Overall, I stand on that a large amount of this bill is just using COVID-19 as an excuse to expand the existing bureaucracy and to give more money to organizations that they find favorable. I find it very politically minded, as a lot of the sections give discretion to the secretary, the politically appointed secretary of each of these departments, to give grants to the organizations they find are in need of said grants. I mean, the whole thing is just, like, if you just hang around a little bit, and you'll get a real good idea of where I stand on this bill, right? Now, Social Security Act being amended, $200 million for mitigating COVID-19 in skilled nursing home facilities. It's refreshing to see something that actually talks about COVID-19 instead of calling it coronavirus and giving it that vague and broad definition. But yeah, anyway. Section 9402. All right. Oh, wait, no. Okay, that's in this one. COVID-19. Right. 9402. $250 million. Well, okay, Social Security Act is amended, where it provides $250 million COVID-19 strike teams to nursing facilities. I've already covered this. This is a repeat of Section 3109. Section 3109 in this says the exact same thing. I've already covered this in a stream. I literally covered this exact wording in another stream entirely. And they just repeated it. You agree? You think they're using this bill as a Trojan horse for other politically motivated nonsense? Oh yeah. They went ahead and put in the $15 federal minimum wage in this one. Right? It's part of the American Rescue Plan. Right? I'm surprised they didn't try to put the election integrity bill in this one too. You know. But anyway, Section 9402 is just a repeat of Section 3109. Section 9500, nothing, just a short title. Just got to make this thing as long as possible. Add another section, say this is a short title, and then we'll just give them another short title. Like, God damn you. God damn you. This, Section 9501, is a repeat of Section 2401. They literally already put this in here. This is the COVID. This is the Cobra insurance thing, right? Which was its bill on its own, introduced into the House, and that I covered when I first started doing this covering business. And they decided to put it in this one. See, initially it started out where like you only had to pay 0% of the premium, and you got coverage, right? Then they changed it to 15% of the premium. Like I remember I covered it already. I covered it. And this is literally just repeat. Why? Because it's long. That's why. Because they just want to make this bill as difficult to digest. As difficult to digest by the common individual and by any other individual, really. Even a skilled like lawyer is going to spend time and energy looking at this and just going to get exhausted going through it. So they won't have as much time to go through it, right? Now, Section 9601. This bill is the definition of needle in a haystack. Like, oh my gosh. I mean, I get what you're saying. And that's pretty true. Right? For instance, there was one provision that I found, and I did a separate stream on it when I found it, where this provision is like, okay, we realize that students have lost an opportunity to learn, right? Because we told schools that they couldn't have kids, they couldn't teach because coronavirus, right? We told people to look locked down. Now, because you're going to need to get them back on the learning schedule, we'll give you money to help get them back on the learning schedule. However, for private schools, or as they say, non-public schools, right? If you buy any equipment, any material, or any property in order to help students get back on that learning schedule, ownership of that equipment, of that material, and that property shall be in a public agency, federal agency, a government agency, right? Ownership of the equipment, material, and property that you buy with the money we give you because we told you couldn't operate in order to get your students back on track is going to be owned by the government. Now, of course, they use language like title of which shall be in a public agency. That's what it means. And it's just this one little provision where it's just like, hey, private schools, don't take any money. If you're going to take money, buy toilet paper with it. Buy food with it, right? Buy something that is going to be consumed and used rapidly, because otherwise the government's just going to come and be like, we own it. Is the government trying to usurp private schools by bribing with funding, or you're missing? Okay, yeah, no, it's not bribing. It's more like, say you, for property, for the example of property, right? You purchase a plot of land and you build like some school buildings on it. You put some buildings on it to house students so that they can learn for like summer education or something like that, right? Now the government can then, they have options, right? Where they can tell the private school, okay, now we own this. We actually own this property. So you need to enforce like our laws, right? So if it was like a private Christian school, right, and they wanted to force the private Christian school to include like transgenders in like the men's, they wanted to put like transgender people, like men in the female, or like higher, like they can force them to abide by the same rules that the public schools would have to go by, right? Therefore, kind of negating any purpose of sending your child to a private school to get any kind of a different like education, right? If you didn't want your child to be learning like Black Lives Matter material in the public schools, so you took them out and you put them in private school, but the government's like, look, if you don't start teaching this material, we're going to take that property and we're going to give it to somebody else, somebody that will do what we want, right? So we'll take that equipment, we'll take that material. It's ours, we own it, it says so right here in the law. Now, that's basically that's one option, right? Where they can either force them to do things that they otherwise wouldn't do, in order to keep their property, in order to continue to use it, in order to continue to use the property, equipment, or materials, or they can just take the property, equipment, or materials and give it to somebody else. Or they can just take it and just sell it, right? That's essentially what it is. But I think mostly what it would be used for is to force private schools to do things that otherwise wouldn't if they didn't have funds. So it's not really bribing. It's more of like entrapment, right? It's more like a debt trap kind of a thing, right? Where they've forced the schools to close, told them, okay, because we forced you to close, which I think that's really messed up. And I'm not even sure it's legal. To be perfectly honest, I don't know if that's legal. Because if they can do that to a private school, then what's stopping them from doing that to like a private business, right? To a private organization, to a private individual, right? Like just put a little provision in there that like anything you buy with this money that we give you, we own. It's just, I don't think that's legal. I don't think it is. You have a very libertarian outlook on that. Government should stay out of the education sector. You know, they really haven't done a great job on the education sector. But, you know, that's why people, you know, have the option of public schools versus private schools, right? And, you know, I've thought about it a lot. And if I have kids, right, which one day I would like, and if I have money, which one day I would like, right, then I would set up like my own kind of school, sort of like, and set it up in a way where it's more like, like in ancient Greece, you had like this one kind of mentor and like professor who like taught all like the students and stuff like that. And so I kind of want to start like my own private school and hire like people that like can really like teach, or even like make it more of like a kind of self-teaching environment. I'd have to, work on the details of that, but it would be something where I'd want to bring in like people who are actually like intelligent and stuff like that to actually teach the kids, right? Like it'd be, there's no way in hell I would be able to get like someone like Elon Musk to come in and like share his knowledge with the students, but that's kind of like the idea, right? To get people like that, like on a higher level of like intelligence, who are actually intelligent, to like teach my students. Because when I went to school, and I went to a private school, a lot of the teachers there, I just didn't have any like respect for, right? So it was kind of hard learning from a lot of them because I wasn't engaged with what they were saying, right? However, it's somebody that's like, yo, this guy did this, put a Tesla like in orbit, something like that. Or this guy's like the Aristotle of his time or the Plato of his time, that kind of a thing. And I'm having him teach kind of just this course on this or giving a talk on this, then like that's kind of the setup I would want, right? But yeah, not necessarily homeschooling, but kind of like a homeschool, private school combination of things, right? But yeah, no, I feel you on that. Public schools, I did some summer school in a public school once. And let's just say because I had been going to a private school, the teacher said to me that like I didn't need to show up for the final. In fact, I could take the last 2 weeks off because there was no way I wasn't getting an A. And so I was just like, okay, that was it. She gave me the A, and like, but like, that's the difference, right? I fail a class in private school, and there's no way I'm not getting an A in public school. But then, oh my gosh, there's this other public school, and it's a well-funded public school in my area. I had a social studies class, or it wasn't a social studies class. It was a free time period, right? It was one where you could do like homework during, and like I was actually taking like a course from another school at the time when I was doing this. So that period that I had that class, instead of doing homework for my other classes, I was working on homework for this this other program, so I could get back into the private school because I got kicked out because I didn't pass other classes because all this shit happened. Went to Jamaica before the finals of summer school, and I was forced to go to Jamaica. Like I didn't want to go to Jamaica. I was like, there's no way I can go to Jamaica and then come back, take my finals and pass these classes. That's not going to happen. It's just like, oh, study on the plane. I can't study on a plane. I get motion sickness. I can't read in a moving vehicle. But yeah. Yeah. All right. Section 9601. Finally, we get to the $1,400 rebates. Right? 9601. 3/4 of the way through the American Rescue Plan, we finally get to where the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 is amended by inserting a new section. And in this new section, rebates. $1,400 rebates for individuals, $2,800 in case of a joint like return, $1,400 multiplied by the number of dependents of the taxpayer for such taxable year. So if you got kids, $1,400 per kid, right? Any non-resident alien individual. These guys. They're not even giving it to American citizens. Anyone. Just anyone. Any and everyone. Right? Provided that you don't make more than, $75,000, I think, right? Anyway, Internal Revenue Code of 1986 is amended. Appears to have an end date of December 31st, 2021. Right? So you can't be applying for any of this money after December 31st, 2021. Right? They're appropriating $1,464,500,000 for payments, $7 million for expenses to carry out this section, and $8 million for the Inspector General. Like, it's really long. There's a lot of little rules in there. But of course, these are dealing with all kinds of other stuff, right? This is the appropriation section there, where that's money. Oh my gosh! So as you can see, this is basically for anybody. This is basically for anybody. You want it, you got it. Head of households getting different amounts. Joint return of surviving spouse, different amounts. Like, in general, shall be reduced by the amount which bears the same ratio to such credit as excess of the taxpayer's adjusted gross income for such taxable year, or over 75,000 bears to 25,000. Like, I mean, that's pretty much it. Like, this is the rebate section. This is section 9601 is where you get your 1,400. Not your 2,000, mind you. Not your 2,000. I know people were apparently bribed by $2,000 checks. They got 600 already. 600 plus 1,400 equals, 2,000. But of course, I don't know how anybody's supposed to live 2 months on $600. I mean, I guess it's possible. You're going to get really sick of ramen, though. And you're not going to really be able to pay any bills. Did Biden? Biden did promise 2,000 immediately in Georgia? Yeah. Yeah, too bad. 1,400. But 2,800 in the case of a joint return, right? Which, Yeah. Yep. Well, here it is, right here in print. But 1,400 multiplied by the number of dependents of the taxpayer, right? So if they got kids, it's been 3 months and they aren't even getting the 2,000. That's right. That's good. Well, they already got 600. They already got 600. 600 plus 1,400 is 2,000. Splitting hairs. Just splitting hairs like Harris and Biden. That's basically what it is. Just us, we can call Harris from now on, because we can't really blame Biden, can we? The guy's not even all there, right? Poor fella. Man, poor fella. I feel bad for him almost, but not really. All those years in government can't possibly be good for anybody. But yeah, there you go. No 2000. Well, 1400, 600, 2000. Like, that's fucked up. But at least they're not chopping it down even more. Biden's been running for Senate this entire time. You don't even think he knows he's president? Oh, man. Yeah, sometimes he wakes up and he doesn't even think he's in politics anymore, I'm sure. I'm sure he has his good days and his bad days, but, that's why I kind of feel sorry for the guy sometimes. I see him speak, and sometimes he just looks like he's in pain, the way he's like has to like squint. Like, that's like, it seems like he's in pain, and so I feel, almost bad for the guy, but like, sometimes I see him when he talks and he looks like he's actually hurting, like physically hurting, and they still got him up there in front of a camera, in front of a microphone. But I guess I've seen some news that they're quickly going to move to, or not quickly, but rather soon, they're moving to remove him on the grounds of the 25th Amendment. They're going to have a medical and political team evaluate his mental and physical condition, and then they're going to remove him, which means Harris is going to be our president. Who's going to be our vice president? Oh, they've already pushed him aside and put Kamala in charge. A lot of people think that they're going to do that. Like, yeah, they've already done that. Pelosi becomes vice president. It's over. I don't think it goes to Pelosi first. I think it might go to the Secretary of State first. Right? So who's that guy? Hold on. Secretary of State. Yeah, okay. I'm not even finished writing secretary, and it's just like, not Michigan Secretary of State. Why would I want this Michigan Secretary of State? Here, State Department. Like, what the fuck? Right? It's not Mike Pompeo. Anthony Blinken. All right. Pelosi is third in line. Makes sense. I don't see. Hold on. Let me look at that. Hold on. Secession of presidential power. Oh, fuck. It is Nancy Pelosi. No, it's Nancy Pelosi. Oh my gosh. So it goes president, vice president, speaker of the House, president pro tempore, which is Patrick Leahy. Like, oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. So Pelosi, Vice President Pelosi, like, oh no. But I mean, like, they're going to have her removed on 25th Amendment grounds in a year or two anyway. So what is it? She's going to do it. Dude, that's like, oh my gosh. Oh no. Bro, Pelosi is unhinged. Pelosi is, yeah, she's out of it. She's out of her mind. Oh my gosh. And I can't, okay, oh my gosh. Well, I guess I guess, was it, the country's so misogynistic and the patriarchy is just so strong, they had to elect a male president in order to get a female vice president as president. They had to get a really old, dying president in order to get they had to figure out some way of getting a female president. Oh my gosh. Honestly, if they just gone with what's her name? Tulsi Gabbard, like, at least, the country would still have some respect. The irony of calling the GOP racist and sexist, then Biden picks a VP solely on race and gender. I know. It's reverse racism. That's being racist in a good way is a good thing. It's just like, think so. I think being racist and sexist in general is a bad thing, right? But it's reverse sexism and reverse racism is what it is. It's rationale, it's just rationale. But honestly, that's not even like the main reason. It's more like the reason why they use the race and the gender thing is so that they can put their friends and their like swamp agents in positions of power who don't actually have any like experience handling it, or the experience they do have handling it is like really bad experience handling it, right? Like the transgender like health director, right? They put her in because she's transgender, right? But her history of being in Pennsylvania is pretty funny because that's the same person who took their mother out of a nursing home at the same time they were ordering nursing homes to take back COVID-19 patients. That's who that is. And so they knew people were going to die from it, and they got their mother out, but they went ahead and screwed everybody else over. Tulsi, you can actually stand. Loved watching her take down Harris in the primaries. Yeah, I can actually, like, Tulsi's somebody people can actually talk to. You can't talk to any of these other people, right? You may not agree on, like, certain policy positions, but you can at least sit down and have a discussion with the woman, right? Like, these other people is just like, if you want to debate with me, then that means you're racist. If you want to debate this, that means you're sexist. It's just like, no. That just means I care about policies instead of what the color of your skin is. I don't care what you got between your legs. Do you have good experience and good policies? You got good ideas? If not, then what the fuck you doing here? You know, it's just like you can actually debate with her, right? She's not going to sit there and be like, oh, well, because you want to debate this with me, that means you're a sexist, racist, homophobic, transphobic, Islamophobic. just all the phobics in the world. Like, yeah, no, she's somebody you can actually debate with. And so that's cease your bigotry, right? Your debate is bigotry. Your speech is violence. Silence is violence too. Well, what the fuck? So just everything is violence now? Yeah, no. Just, you know, we can make fun of their BS all day. You know, we can make fun of their BS just all day because it's just their way of keeping outsiders out, right? Tulsi Gabbard, even though she's a woman, they went ahead and demonized her because she's not part of the in group, right? She's not part of the in cabal, honestly, right? Trump wasn't part of the in group, but because the Republicans have a primary system that actually, you know, looks at merits and votes and donations instead of the Democratic primary system, which is just like, screw you, Bernie Sanders. We know the Democrats want you, but we don't want you because the Democrats elites decide who gets chosen over here. So it's just like, but yeah, anyway, we can do that all day. We can do that all day. DNC is in bed with the Clintons. That's why Bernie gets screwed every time. Yeah, the Clintons. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the DNC is just corrupt. You know, just call it what it is. They're just corrupt. You know, the Clintons apparently had like a nice grip on them and everything like that on the DNC, but I feel like that grip is slipping. At least it had been slipping. Maybe they still got a solid grip in it. Oh my gosh. Did you see the video of Bill Clinton sitting behind Hillary Clinton, and Hillary Clinton's just kind of going off in front of the camera, and Bill Clinton's just sitting back there, and he's just like staring at her, and he's just like he's like just wants to go to sleep. You can tell he's just so tired of this woman. He's just like, I honestly would rather be poor and have no power than be with this bitch. Right? The one when they were in their house. I guess, yeah, they were in their house. Yeah, I think that's the one. Like, oh my gosh. I saw that the other day on Zeducation's channel. Zeducation's channel on YouTube. I was just like, oh my gosh. I laughed so hard. My mom came in. She was like, what are you laughing at? I was just like, look at this poor man. Zeducation is such a meme. Yeah. Yeah, he's got some pretty good ones on there. He's got some pretty good ones. I don't laugh at everything on there, but there's some really funny ones. He's a pretty funny guy. I like his channel. He's pretty good. But anyway, I gotta wrap this up. It's been an hour 35 minutes. We'll be continuing next time with section 9611, and hopefully we'll finish out this bill and we'll be able to move on to some new stuff, right? Because holy crap, and please don't ask me to do HR 1, the election integrity bill. It's like just as long as this one. It's just as long. I can't do that shit. This is taking so much out of me. Right, but at the same time, it's made me laugh. You should read C21. C21. Is that HR? Because typically what I see on Congress.gov is either HR something or other or S something or other. But I guess they do have RS, like resolutions, right? That don't do anything, but they're just resolutions, right? It's just like virtue signaling. It's just like, hey, we're really good people, and this person's a bad person. It's kind of just like throwing mud, throwing shade. It's kind of like the official version of a tweet, I guess. Canadian government is trying to ban airsoft guns to lower gun violence. Oh, that's Canadian? Okay. Yeah. Let me write that down. Let me write that down. C21. Canadian. I'll have to look at that. Do you follow Viva Fry on YouTube at all? Because that's like the only Canadian lawyer that I'm even like aware of. And he does videos on Canadian law as well as like American law and like what's going on in America as well as what's going on in Canada. He does both. So I wouldn't mind, crossing the border, not literally, but like figuratively speaking, in order to check out what's going on in Canada, because I feel like I could make fun of what's going on over there. But yeah, I'll take a look at that, and we'll have a look-see. We'll have a look-see. But anyway, Supreme Heretic, what is this policy essentially? You guys chat amongst yourselves, because we're not looking at it right now. It appears to be banning airsoft guns because airsoft guns will fall into a technical, like, feet per second, like a metric that they've got going on, because I've heard a little bit about it, I think. And so if like an airsoft rifle fires faster, a BB faster than a certain amount of feet per second, it's going to be classed as like an assault rifle or something like that. Yeah, they fall under prohibited firearms now, so they can be restricted. The cap is 500 feet per second. It's like BB guns and airsoft rifles. Legislation generation. Hello. Welcome to the stream, you guys. You're catching the end of it here. Turning into total clown world. Yeah. It's exhausting, but at the same time, it's kind of funny, right? Like, I mean, if there wasn't the threat of the world going into chaos and possibly, having another world war, it would actually be very lighthearted fun. But it's one of those things. After your guns, check if Britain is still sour. Oh, they are. Oh, they definitely are. If you follow the Lotus Eaters, they blame all this wokeness on Americans, right? They're like, oh, this has been something that's been sent over from America. Actually, as I see it, the French started it, right? It went from France to Russia, from Russia to China. It bounced around Southeastern Asia for a little bit. It seemed to make its way into America, where it then got into Canada, and then back over into the UK. So if anything, blame the French or blame the Chinese. That's where I stand on it. The British can't blame us for this entirely. They can't. Right? It just happened to pass through. It just passed through our neighborhood, our neck of the woods. And we got just a few, like a minority group of people in the country that are just screaming at the top of their lungs every day, which, too bad they don't have to like scream physically or else they'd lose their voice. They just keep typing on their phone. Don't actually like get a voice like swore or hoarse or anything like that. Canadian government already took our guns. Yeah. Now they want your airsoft guns. Your airsoft replica of a Glock 17 definitely can commit a mass shooting. Oh yeah, dude. You never know, right? You get everybody in the throat, they might choke on it. Right? You get two in there, clock up both the little air holes, and they choke to death, right? It's possible. It's possible. But anyway, guys, thanks for stopping by. That's the stream. I gotta go have a smoke, feed some cats, and get some lentil soup and some hummus and pita bread. That's waiting for me in the kitchen. It's gonna be pretty good stuff. But anyway, after we're done with this American Rescue Plan, we'll check out the C-21 Canadian law regarding airsoft rifles, or the metric of feet per second. We'll check that out, and we'll see what else is going on. Take care, y'all. Have a good night.